How's it going, YouTube? This is Guy in the Backseat from DoomVeilerGames. Apologize if you hear anything in the background. I am currently at a park waiting on my family for my son's first birthday party. But I figured that I'd bring my camera down here, do a few videos, and get some stuff out of the way. If you have watched some of our previous videos, you'll recognize that these are some of the cards from my game that I've been making. I actually have a stack here of the 39 Conjurers that'll exist in the base set for my game. I'm going to go over each one a little bit, no backstories or anything. Note, this art is not my art. This art is definitely the art that I'm using as concept ideas for the characters themselves. I have not gotten the official artwork done for the game when it launches, but I can say that I'm hoping to have this caliber. If it's not, please don't be upset. But we're going to jump right into it because I've been burning some time. So, how do we start? Start with the main character. This is Sawyer. He is a conjurer. He's also going to probably be the chase card of the set. He's a level 6, meaning that if you want to play him during the game, he's 6 sources to play. 3 deck point conjurer. He is proficient in every single element as a 0, meaning everything in your hand that is fire, wind, earth, water, ice, lightning, steel, or nature is a at-cost card, meaning you can play it from your hand for whatever its level is printed. And he says once during your turn, you can select a creature on your field, declare an element. That creature is treated as the selected element in addition to its own elements. That is Sawyer. He basically just adds an element to any creature that you want once a turn. Kael. Okay, Kael is a 5 deck point level 7 conjurer that is talented in wind, water, nature, and he's proficient, meaning like he's negatives in steel and spirit. So he's a neg 1 on steel and spirit. This guy will probably also be a pretty decently difficult card to get. Kael says that once per game, you can shuffle your hand back into your play deck. If this is done, you draw cards from your play deck equal to the number of cards that were in your hand, and draw 1 card from your play deck at the end, and then your turn ends. So he's a reload, essentially, that lets you draw an extra card, and then you end your turn. He's pretty good on his own accord, but overall, he pales in comparison to this guy that has the power to touch all the elements, essentially. This guy is proficient in 2 of them, but talented in 3. So he's actually pretty good. Sable. Okay, the last of the colorless or multicolor conjurers. He's a level 8 5 deck point conjurer, and he says that he has negatives in fire and negatives in darkness, and he has earth, lightning, and steel as his talented elements. He says, once per battle step, when a creature you control destroys a creature, you can choose and activate one of the following effects. You flip a coin. If the result is tails, then both players lose 1 health, which means he can speed up the game a lot. And it says you can increase the attack and defense of a creature you control by 1. So he's either a pump, guaranteed, or a flip for damage to both players once every other turn. Or once every time the battle step happens. You're going to start to see some of my artwork. These are old art that I just stretched and made huge for the picture, so bear with it. Roland is a 4 deck point level 6 conjurer. We're going to ignore these numbers down here because he's being rerouted. But essentially, he's a neg 1 in fire, and he has a, and I think it's earth and something else. We're eradicating him because he's too good with this experiment that we did with him. As you can see, we put 2s on there, which was way too fast, so we're sticking with the 1s. It says once during your turn, you can source shuffle a single source that you control, a source card you control, and you get to increase any creature on the field by 1 attack point forever. We're just going to start rapid firing through all these. Natalie, she is a 3 deck point level 6 conjurer, says neg 1 in fire, 0 in lightning, and 0 in steel, and says once per turn when a creature you control destroys a creature, you can source shuffle 5 sources and destroy another creature on the field. So she's a destruction engine, but you don't deal damage. Zillant. Note, he's in a pretty thick case because this is how we test play with him. Zillant says neg 1 in fire, earth, and he's a 0 in wind and earth, and he's level 7 4 deck point conjurer. Says during your turn, you can reveal a creature in your hand, source shuffle source cards you control equal to the level of the revealed creature. If this is done, you put the revealed creature into play. So he can free conjure something with used sources. We got Celeste. She is a level 7 4-deck point. -1 in wind, 0 in earth and lightning. Says once per battle step, when a creature you control attacks, increase the attack of that creature by the difference in speed of the attacking and the attacked creature during damage calculation. So if a 6-speed creature attacks a 4-speed creature, your creature gains 2 once a battle step. That's pretty awesome. High power bonuses. Jeffrey. He's a 4-deck point, level 7 conjurer. He's a 0 in fire, -1 in wind, and a 0 in lightning. It says once every other turn, you can send a creature you control with 10 or more speed to the discard pile. If this is done, you destroy 1 creature on the field. Another destruction engine, but he requires you to have a high-speed creature to give up for it. Diana, level 7 3-deck point creature with -1 in wind and even amount in water and ice. Says once during the battle step, a creature you control in guard position can intercept an attack. This can throw off a player a lot. If you can intercept with something guarding, if it's usually high defense, has low speed, but if you can pump the speed with your wind cards, then you'll be in good shape with her because you can deal damage to things that try to fight. Simon, level 6 4-deck point creature or conjurer. He is he's -1 in earth, and he's got 0 in nature and 0 in spirit. And it says once every other turn, you can shuffle a card in your hand back into your deck and draw a card. Card trader that can never be stopped. Just saying. Pretty good. Claudia. Most aggressive draw engine in the game. At least right now. Level 7, 4-deck point conjurer. She's even in wind and nature, and she's a -1 in earth. Says once every other turn, you can shuffle 2 cards in your hand back into your playdeck and discard 1 card from your hand, and if it's done, you get to draw 3 cards. So she doesn't ever plus you, but she can definitely open up some possibilities. Bane Seth. Okay, he's a 4-deck point, level 7 conjurer, 0 in fire and 0 in steel, and he's a -1 in earth, and says once every battle step, or during the battle step, whenever a creature you control, your opponent controls, receives damage from attacking a guard position creature, you deal double that damage. So if they attack a 10 with an 8, they'll take 4, not 2. Jave. Okay, you Magic players. It's not Jace. He's a 4 and he's level 8 conjurer. He is -1 in water and even in spirit and ice, and he says once every other turn you can select a creature on the field and change its battle position. If this is done, select 1 creature on the field and switch its current attack, defense, or lifespan with its current attack, defense, or lifespan. So that means you can switch one of their stats and flip their position, or flip one and target a different one. It's pretty crazy what you can do with him. Fiona. Okay, most of the women in the game are healers. So, sorry, I'm not sexist. I just think women are better at taking care of people. 3 deck points, level 7, water conjurer, in my opinion, even though she's colorless. Even in light and wind and -1 in water. Once every other turn, you can change the battle position of all creatures you control. If this is done, increase your health by 1. During the turn this effect is used, creatures affected by this effect cannot change battle position. So you can't flip them again, but you can definitely gain a life, which is important. Gaining health is important. Drake, he's pretty aggressive. He's my pirate with his sexy lady on his shoulder. Level 7, 3-deck point conjurer. He's even in wind and ice, and he has -1 in water. It says once during each player's turn and once during the battle step, if a creature changes battle position, it loses 2 lifespan. So that's pretty crazy. Edith, the Ice Mistress. Anyway, 5-deck point, level 9 conjurer, and she's even in darkness and water, and she's -1 in ice. And it says once every other turn, you can select 1 random card in your opponent's hand and place the selected card face down in the specialty zone. During your check phase, return the card to the owner's hand. So it locks a card. Pretty much what it does. It doesn't do much else. It just locks a card, and they can't use it. That's the main point, because it's face down. And yeah. Elium. Hey, look, my art. Woo. 3-deck point, level 5 conjurer. Even in water and wind, and -1 in ice. Up to twice per turn when a creature on the field changes battle position, you can lower the attack of one of your opponent's creatures by 1. So you can neg a creature if a creature flips, which means he's very good with water cards. Celeste. She's going to probably be a win condition in ice decks. 4 deck point, level 7 Conjurer, even in earth and water, and neg 1 in ice, and says up to 3 times during the game when a creature you control destroys a creature that has had its attack lowered to 0, inflict 1 additional damage to the opponent's health. So that means you can deal 2 if you kill something that's had its attack reduced. Pretty crazy. William. Okay, neg, he's 5, level 8, neg 1 in nature, and talented in earth and steel. Says during your source draw, if you source shuffled any amount of source on your previous turn, you draw 1 additional source card during this draw. So that means you can draw 4 cards instead of 3, and that's pretty crazy. Like, it's aggression. It's very much aggression. Godric. He's a 4 deck point, level 7, with talents in wind and earth and neg 1 in nature. Says once every other turn, you can select a creature on the field, half its attack, defense, lifespan, and speed, and then draw a source card. Maya. Same as Godric, except 1 deck point less, and earth and water as opposed to earth and wind, and says you can destroy a creature and get a source draw. So, lots of fun there. Zebek. Okay, 4 deck point, level 8, Conjure, neg 1 in lightning, and he's proficient in earth and darkness, and says once every other turn you can destroy a creature. If this is done, you increase your health by 1, and its effect is treated as a lightning card effect, so you get the lightning card effects with it. That's the main point. Kent. He is a he's a level 7 3 deck point creature with neg 1 in lightning, and he has steel and wind as his proficiency, and he says once during your turn you can send the top card of your play deck to the discard pile. If this is done, you can add 1 lightning creature from your discard pile to your hand, and the effect is treated as a lightning card effect. Once again, all the lightning guys state that they're treated as a lightning card effect because they're colorless cards. Zoe. 4 deck points, level 6. She's earth and wind, and she's lightning negative, and it says every other turn after your source draw you can discard up to 2, or you can discard 2 cards from your hand, and if this is done you draw 2 cards during your source draw, during your standard draw, instead of 1. So you get 2 draws instead of 1, and you aren't technically negging, but it says that it's treated as a lightning card effect. That's what's important. Jameson. Alright, 4 deck points, level 8. Fire and water are his proficiencies, but he's talented in steel. Once every other turn, you can treat a creature in your hand as an equipment tome and equip it to a creature you control with the same element. The equipped creature gains 2 attack and defense. So he can make creatures in your hand into tomes and equip them, which is pretty awesome. Like, he can just pump your creatures all day long. Helena. 6 deck points, level 8. Proficient in wind and lightning, and she's talented in steel. Once during your turn, during the battle step, when a creature you control is destroyed, you may pay 1 health, and if this is done, you play 1 creature with a level equal to or lower than the level of the destroyed creature and the same element from your hand. So if you have a fire creature and it dies, you can play a fire creature that is the same as that creature for 1 health. Untido. He is a 3 deck point, level 8 conjurer with fire and earth as his proficiencies, and he is talented in steel, and says during the battle step, if a creature uses its fortify ability, it gains 2 instead of 1. Crazy good. Instead of upping them by 1, it's upping by 2. That's almost double. Caleb. Light. We got into the light. We're almost done, people. 4 deck points, level 8. Neg 1 in light, and he's talented in darkness and spirit. It says up to 3 times per game whenever a battle step is declared, you may pay 1 health and declare an element, though creatures of that element cannot be attacked during the battle step. So he can rescue everything you play if you play 1 color from fights for 3 times a game for 3 health. Michelle, 4 deck point, level 8 or level 7. Fire and wind are her proficiencies, and she's talented in light. And it says once every other turn, you can send a creature you control equipped with a card to the discard pile, and you get to draw, and you get to gain a health. Pretty good. light is healing, so I expect a lot of defense and healing. 3 deck point, level 6, Gabriella. She is water and ice talented and -1 in light, and it says whenever a creature you control is destroyed by a card effect, you may send the top card of your play deck to the discard pile, and if this is done, you gain 1 health. So if they are playing destruction, you can be gaining while they kill your stuff. We got into darkness, we're almost done. Only this many more, people, only this many more. Davian, 6 deck points, level 9. Fire and lightning are his proficiencies and talent in darkness, and it says once per game you may choose to lose 3 health, and if this is done, you destroy all cards on the field, and then after this effect is carried out, you end your turn. Ridiculous. Rune, 3 deck point, level 6. Wind and nature talents and proficient in darkness. It says whenever you would take damage from your opponent's card effect, your opponent takes that the same amount of damage. Ryan. Okay, look, it's actually Riku from, whatever that one game, Kingdom Hearts. 5 deck point, level 8, Earth and Steel talents with proficiency in darkness. It says once every other turn, you can discard your hand of 4 or more cards. If this is done, inflict 1 damage to your opponent if this effect cannot be used to win a game. So he's a damage conjurer. He's like the only one that actually hurts people, and the only way it works is if you're not winning. Falconer. 2 more elements, people. Only 2. 3 deck point, level 7, 0 in fire and nature, and -1 in spirit. It says all creatures you control gain 1 attack, defense, lifespan, and speed. Amanda. Way much more text. 4 deck point, level 7, water and lightning talents with a little splash of negatives in spirit. Says once during the battle step, you and a creature you control as attacks, you may send a creature you control with the same element to the discard pile and pay 1 health, and the creature gains attack points equal to the attack of the card that you send. So you can basically combo attack with one big guy. Gareth. Okay, Gareth says he's talented in in Earth and Steel and -1 in Spirit. And he's 4 deck point, level 8 Conjure. Says when a creature you control is destroyed, you can pay 1 health. If this is done, you draw 1 card from your play deck and pick up and play the top card, or pick up and play the top card of your source deck. So he helps you if your cards get blown up. Salastro, 4 deck point, level 8, 0 in Steel, 0 in Spirit, and -1 in Chaos. Says once every other turn, you may declare a card name and reveal the top card of your play deck. If the revealed card is the same as the card named, add it to the hand. Then select 1 creature you control. The creature gains 1 attack, defense, lifespan, and speed for each opposing creature until the end of the battle step. Chaos is Foresight. Have fun with that one. Tila. Tila is a -1 in Chaos and talented in or proficient in water and light. 3 deck point, 6 level 6 Conjurer. Says once during your turn, you can look at the top card of your play deck and place it on either the top or bottom of the deck. And finally, the last one, Zane. It's a level 9, 5 deck point Conjurer with 0 in lightning and wind and -1 in chaos. He is probably the hardest effect to pull off in terms of all the Conjurers. And he says, once every 3 turns, you can declare the names of 3 cards. Reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Carry out the appropriate effect based on how many cards you named are revealed through the effect. 1, you destroy a specialty card in play. 2, you destroy a creature in play. And 3, you discard a card from the opponent's hand. So if you get all 3 right, you wreak havoc every 3 turns. That's the Conjurers for the base set, all 39 of them. Which one are you? Have fun with this. I apologize for taking up so much of your time. And as always, comment, rate, subscribe, DoomVeilerGames. Enjoy.